Running for State Assembly, District 52. Election Integrity Project California is the only lawsuit in California. We're trying to get an audit. They've been doing this for 12 years, and they have gone to court and won several cases. Right now, we're in the Ninth Circuit Court. We're going to be doing arguments end of June, beginning of July. So sometimes we speak amongst ourselves, like Nyako was saying, and we try to make sense of how should we vote, early, late, what are they going to do with the ballots. But I liken it to locking your car and being a good precaution so they don't steal your car. You lock your car and you take your keys. That's the best thing I know to do to keep my car from being stolen. So as far as voting, the best advice that they've given, and with their experience, I'm gonna listen to their advice, is vote early, vote in person, vote on paper. Now this morning, I went early, I went in person, and I voted on paper. And let me tell you, if English is not your first language, and if you have a little difficulty because you're in your 70s, 80s, this is gonna be quite a challenge. So what I did is, I posted what the ballot looks like when you get there, the blank ballot. So you might think you're writing a thesis. And then I also posted what it looked like after we filled it out. Let me tell you, it was a process. I was there about an hour and a half, and I know what I'm doing. I went and I took my dad, I was helping my dad, he's in his 80s, 87. So we did work on it, and then my sister went also and helping my mom. And so we did work on it. I made some mistakes. I had to ask for another one. It's not very clear at first. And then we put it in the slot, and then they actually unlocked the locked mailbox slot, which they're not supposed to do. And then they also handed us an envelope, which they've never done before. So this is LA County pulling something new on us. So I had to use the envelope because it was what it was. But you can write it in. I have links to that. I did send an email, I'm posting it. If you need more information, let me know, I will send it to you. But fill out an incident report to any discrepancy or any hindrance to you being able to vote clearly. This is very confusing. And that incident report will be added to the lawsuit. And so they have stacks of incident reports, and this is how they're winning a lot of their cases. So that's the best we can do. So yes, vote early, vote in person, vote on paper, do your best. They're gonna hand you an envelope, put it in an envelope. It shouldn't be that way, but it is what they put into the system right now. And fill out an incident report. That's the best you can do. And I like the idea of making a ruckus. And that's really the best you can do. Even when we get in office, if you see this happen, if one of our colleagues is not speaking up and we know they're being unconstitutional and we can't do it in the process, well, we're gonna do it publicly and say, look, see this person you thought you could trust? You can't trust them. Look what they did. We can call them out. Same thing. So I like that idea. So that's what that's the advice that I have.
Thank you for that. And I think that is it is good advice. And I support every one of those things, with the exception of voting early. I know that there has been. I listened to Paula Witzel out of San Diego. She's with the San Diego County Republican Party. She's the chair. And she advocated that vote early and even to mail in the ballot, which I had a mini heart attack. I was a guest speaker that night. And I literally had a mini heart attack almost, listening to her say that. And I have been speaking publicly to that night, about that night ever since, because I feel that what she did was she misdirected the best interest of the voters that night, and there were 200 people in attendance. So I have no problem mentioning that. And then they said, well, vote early and then check in the 10, 15 day mark to make sure your vote had been cast or counted. Well, that means nothing. To be able to go in there and see if your vote was counted or tallied doesn't mean that it wasn't flipped. It just says you visited the poll center and that was that, or it was received. But in addition to what you said, I advocate exchanging the mail-in ballot that you receive for a paper ballot. You get to the polling place, you actually request a paper ballot, and fill that out and vote with that. Even if you have to either void out your mail-in ballot or leave with it, you don't leave your blank, excuse me, your blank mail-in ballot with the polling center, ever. I know you agree to that too.
You don't give cheese to the mice.
Yes. And as far as making a ruckus, yeah, I mean, not being disruptive by any means, because it's supposed to still be an enjoyable patriotic experience, you know, when we go to the polls and vote. But I do mean drawing attention to the fact that there is a problem if you were to experience one when you're there to cast your vote. So, and when that happens, the incident report is critical. If they say you've already voted, that's a problem. That means a major crime has taken place and you are the victim, as well as all of us are also the victims of that. You stop right there, you ask for the supervisor. There's an officer, elections officer, that should be on site at the polling center. If they don't have one, just a supervisor, you also demand that the sheriff come out to the polling center to also witness the filing and the incident report, and make witness with the sheriff that your vote has already been cast and it wasn't you. And that happened many times during the last election. It happened a lot during the recall election too. It's not something you should just shake your head and say, I can't believe it, and walk out of there and be frustrated. No, you stand up for the situation at hand, stand up for your rights, and demand that they come and support your effort and make other people aware of it. And yes, I do advocate using a cell phone to videotape your experience at the polling center, absolutely, especially because in the course and scope of a crime, you can videotape anything you want to. So, and that being said, I hope that clears up some of the questions between the two of us. The only difference is I think waiting until election day to show up in person on election day and casting your vote will help bottleneck their efforts. They, meaning if they plan on cheating, they're going to cheat our votes again. Hey, let's give them as little time as possible to do that. And that's how we see it. I'm a private investigator of 30 years. I've done a lot of fraud investigating as well. I know that they're probably going to take up to 30 days, who knows, to give us results on this election, even the primary, which is really ridiculous. But you know what? That might be something we face. Regardless of that, we need to make it as difficult as possible for them. And so all of these things that are being said by myself and the previous speaker are things to definitely keep in mind. And please take it to heart. Show up in person to vote first and foremost, and don't leave your mail-in ballot behind. Leave with it or void it before you leave. And yes, your ballot will be placed in the envelope, and then it's out of our hands. And I'm running for Secretary of State. That is the chief elections officer for the state. That's why I chose that office, is because it's the one office I can make an immediate change, an immediate difference, and use what legal efforts I've already made against our current Secretary of State, Shirley Weber, with FOIA requests demanding certification, proof of certification of the election machines, which I got back, proved and showed that there were not proper certifications made on election machines here in California. Not all of them, but some of them, many of them. And I have that proof, and that's going to be something that I am going to be filing on our Secretary of State, especially when I attain that office. That's something I'm going to immediately do. People need to be held accountable. These are crimes against our Constitution and our freedom and our very way of life. And it can't be something where we just say, you usurped your seat, resign, get out. No, you usurped your seat, but you also committed crimes against the people, and you need to be held accountable. People need to go to prison. This is my someone's going to prison face. Someone's going to prison. A lot of people are. All right? Thank you very much.